Hey guys. So today's guest is someone who understands something most companies don't realize until after growth stalls. It's marketing, and it's not about posting more content or running more ads. It's about building a system that actually drives revenue. Mindy Anderson is a fractional CMO, founder, and growth strategist who helps mid market companies clarify their positioning, build demand engines, and create predictable pipeline growth. Now, she's worked across industries like fintech, cybersecurity, technology, commercial real estate. She's bringing enterprise level marketing strategy into companies that are scaling and trying to stand out in crowded markets. Today, we're talking about why so many companies struggle to grow even when they have great products, what most businesses are getting wrong about marketing right now, and how authentic positioning can completely change the trajectory of a company. Mindy, welcome to the Authentic Advantage. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very excited. And you've really educated me on some of the processes that you're seeing in the market right now and what businesses are struggling with. First, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I come from 20 years living and breathing corporate America. I worked at Citibank and rebranded them to Citi. Then I worked for Ernst& Young and rebranded them to EY. And I worked for Infor. And then in 2021, I finally left corporate America. And a couple months later, I started my fractional CMO world. And 2026, woohoo, 4 years later, we're still doing it. But what I do is I take the Fortune 100 experience with global marketing and I help small and mid-market companies level up and grow up.
Yeah, and you are loving it. You're doing amazing. I can clearly see that through our conversation. What is some of the biggest mistakes that you see B2B companies making when it comes to marketing right now?
The hardest part for most companies, and it doesn't matter the size, is them being crystal clear on their competitive advantage. And the problem with that is that when you go to someone in whatever space, they sound like the same company except for a different logo. And so you make it hard essentially for the customer or prospect who you want to be a customer to discern, well, I clearly see why I should work with you. I want to learn more. And they go into the funnel and then convert into a customer. Without that clarity, first and foremost, you're in a sea of sameness. And a sea of sameness means that you're forgettable. So you have to keep that end user engaged and delighted.
I can relate to that as a consumer because if I'm looking for a service or a product and I have many companies that look the same, often I will just go and now look at price and it'll be whoever has the lowest price is going to win. And you never want to be in that position, right?
It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've worked with, companies and industries and that people, I guess, would call boring. Why do you think some of these industries actually have the biggest opportunity for differentiation?
They have an opportunity to hit the emotional scars or frustrations that people have in those industries, right? I mean, nobody wants to be the naysayer, but they're ready for something to make them go, "Oh, wow, I have been having that problem, and I didn't even think a company could solve for it anymore." So, a lot of, I think, customers either they gave up or they just carry frustration. So, that's the area of the opportunity. Instead of talking about the company has done this and they've done that and they have this award, honestly, people don't really care about, the logo anymore, the awards anymore. What they want is to know that you could speak their language with really solutioning the problem that they continue to walk around with. So it's getting into the micro problems versus it being such a broad based problem that they're speaking to. People wanna
Yep.
know that the nitty-gritty details, that's how you niche down and also get into that one corner of the market that you can own, and so that means, when we talk about industries and, that who owns that category, you wanna own that category because you're addressing that problem that no one else still has yet to solve, or they're not talking about it.
When you bring the human aspect to it, just that alone is going to differentiate you. And you talked earlier about, you know, here's the award that I received and me, look at what we've accomplished. Like you said, nobody really cares. It's better to show what you've done for other people, the outcomes you've given to other people. So when a consumer's looking at you, they're like, oh, that's exactly what I want, right? Oh, they did that for them. I want the same thing. Would you agree with that?
100%. People wanna visualize the problem that you solve for somebody else, and then they feel like, "Okay, well, if you did it for them, you could do it for me." So now
Yeah.
they can actually see it in their own mind that you're the chosen one versus you being in a list of companies that, there really is no distinction. It also builds trust because if you can paint that picture through storytelling of with clarity, okay, here was the problem, here was the process that we went through, and here's what we did to get the business outcome, then that's it just shows like, everyone relates to having a problem where they feel like they hit a wall and they're like, why is this not being solved? I don't understand in this day and age, like why I'm still hitting a wall. And people go through these problems, and in these quote unquote boring companies, it's very important for other businesses to be able to solve their financial issues, their accounting issues, their cybersecurity issues, transaction issues, whatever those issues are, right? Like, but these are super important for all these companies to have the infrastructure to depend on that company for said business and for said outcome. So if those outcomes are not coming to light, then they'll stay for a little while, but there will be no loyalty, and it'll just be a matter of time before the underdog takes your lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking a little bit earlier too about being different, right? And what's shown versus the reality of what's happening. So it kind of ties into that. But what's the difference between marketing that looks impressive, right? And the marketing that actually converts?
The marketing that converts is something that initially it's like fail fast if you do some A/B testing and see what lands with the end users and have a list of your dream 100 clients. Have some idea of, I really want to do business with these companies in this industry, and these are just the decision makers that I want to speak to first. And then after those decision makers, I want to speak with these people. A lot of times when I speak with businesses, when they talk to me about their marketing, they say, "I cater to C-suite." And so early on in my career, I was like, "Well, that's putting a CTO in one bucket as the same bucket as a CFO and the same bucket as a CMO. They have a different role, responsibilities, and areas of expertise. So how could they be in one pool?" So it goes back to being so broad that they're not taking time to address their pain point that and their pain point is gonna be different amongst each other, even within the same company, that still needs to be solved. So they're
So you
only
need to have
hurting
like
their
different
chances.
campaigns then, right? Would you say like you're probably running several different ones? But usually when you go
Absolutely.
in, they're thinking of one campaign. Here's what we want to go with. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you work with Fortune 100 companies, and if that's who the client wants to work with as well, because I work with smaller companies now, usually in mid-market, then they also have to speak to the decision makers that they will collectively feel like you are the chosen vendor of choice because you are mirroring their frustration and showing that you have the clear case studies and similar industry companies of where you've solved that same exact problem. So case studies to me should never be understated as well because people want apples to apples. And anyone who comes from corporate America will hear the question, well, have you worked in financial services or have you ever worked in technology? Have you ever worked for SaaS? So people want to know that you've been there, done that. And if you can't say you've worked in that industry, they're not going to give you the time of day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when we're talking about leadership, what role do they play in marketing success? Because you could have good marketing, but Can bad leadership damage good marketing?
Absolutely. Many CEOs think they know marketing because good marketing people make it look easy. When in reality, marketing, has to have a very strong strategy that is in alignment with the market, the push pull demand. So
Mhm.
having an agile focus to what do you offer within your company that is timely to the market and timely to your ICP. And in marketing land, that's your ideal customer profiles, which is likely not one, as we mentioned, but it's so you may pivot from what you were doing last year or 3 years ago, and you have to move your product or your service solution a little bit over to where the pull in the market is right now. And that will enable you to win. The companies that stubbornly dig their heels in the market from 10 years ago are handing over their prospects and their clients to the underdog. So those who are not agile in their own approach and speaking to the difference in the world that we live in today and how they're solving today's problems, not yesterday's problems, will be the winners.
So what I'm hearing is because we always have that joke in every company, right? Where everybody points the finger to marketing. It's marketing's
Right.
fault. It's marketing's fault. We always see that. But the truth is, leadership and other orgs can bring down a good marketing campaign, which leads me to my next question because we often see this with sales and marketing, right? Those teams are like never aligned. But when they're disconnected like that, what is your approach in aligning them?
So alignment should be the same thing that you were talking about: openness, transparency, agreeing with each other. How is it going to be a shared business relationship, shared goals, and what does it look like for us to win together? There's no, you did this and I did that. There's no parting of the seas. This is how will we collectively as a company not only look to meet the goals, but beat our goals. So, how can we win together? What does success look like? And what are those deliverables from the point of separation to the point of passing off one from a marketing lead to into now a sales lead? What does that pass off even look like? And how many prospects do we need to bring to sales in order for your close rate to hit our KPIs and our revenue targets?
Yeah, that's a good approach. So what you like to do is you wanna show metrics, right? Is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
it
You
is.
wanna show but you wanna show it to the sales team so that they can see it because I do see, in previous roles, we would have these marketing campaigns, and to your point, we never got to see what are the leads that are coming in? What are the results? We just saw the campaign go out. We were told what to do with it, but we didn't see anything tangible. I won't blame marketing anymore. When I don't make sales, it's my own fault.
I'm just kidding.
Mindy, again, this has been so extremely valuable during the interview, before the interview. You've really educated us. I love your take on marketing, and I highly recommend if you're a mid-sized company, business to business, looking for a new strategy. Mindy is absolutely your girl. And if I learned anything today, even for myself, it's really just being human in this business, being human, being relatable, giving that differentiator and make it about your customer, not yourself, right? Because that's really what we're looking for. And again, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate you. And if everyone listening found value, again, please tag, send to somebody. And until next time, we will see you on the Authentic Advantage.